There are only 3 episodes left of Dexter New Blood. Man, that is depressing. And it appears that the downfall of Dexter may be upon us. I'll talk my theories later, but first let's recap episode 7, Skin of Her Teeth. Let's kick things off with the Harrison and Dexter storyline. Early in the episode, we see Harrison informing Dexter he won't be home for dinner because of his shift at the truck stop, and Dexter once again expresses concern about Kurt. After Harrison leaves for work, Dexter and his vision of Deb debate the best course of action and plan to turn Kurt into the police because killing him is too risky. While at work, we see Harrison suiting up to clean trucks, and he's clearly putting on similar gear that his father would wear for cleaning up a kill. One of Kurt's men gives Harrison an envelope and says that he needs to pass it along to his dad. This man we saw in an earlier episode checking into the New York City hotel is Matt, so he's clearly been doing dirty work for Kurt for quite some time. Harrison delivers the envelope, which contains a titanium surgical screw that was inside Matt's body when Dexter incinerated him. More to come on this in the next section. At the end of the episode, Harrison is attacked by some boys from Moose Creek, and he pulls out his knife to fight back when Dexter intervenes. Harrison tells Dexter he's always had nightmares, but realizes they were memories and that he remembers everything about his mother being killed. We got some flashbacks to Rita's murder and Arthur talking to infant Harrison. Harrison gets upset, again, with Dexter and catches a ride, leaving Dexter feeling that he now has to tell Harrison everything. Dexter clearly has a goal of patching things up with Harrison, and as a small creator, I have a goal of becoming a YouTube partner. And the first step to do that is having 1,000 subscribers, so I would greatly appreciate your support by clicking that subscribe button, especially if you've been enjoying this content. On to the meat of this episode, which is centered around Kurt, the missing girl killer, and Iris's murder. In the opening scene, we find Dexter and Angela in the cave with Iris's body. Dexter says the cold of the caves must have kept her somewhat preserved, answering many of our questions about how she hadn't decomposed more over the years. Dexter analyzes the scene and discovers that she was shot from behind by a rifle from a distance, aligning closely with Kurt's MO. Dexter also says Iris was still alive when she was buried and she tried to dig herself out. He finds human skin on Iris's tooth where she appears to have bit the attacker, and recommends Angela check the DNA. Angela suspects Kurt because of him calling off Matt's search right before they got to the caves. Dexter encourages Angela to pursue running the DNA against Kurt, obviously in an effort to resolve his own conflict with Kurt. And later, Dexter takes Angela to Kurt's cabin and tells her about what happened with Molly in the murder motel in the basement. However, upon their arrival, they find that Kurt had completely cleaned out the basement, and Dexter gets the sense that Kurt may slip away, leading him to wonder if he's going to have to kill him after all. Next, we see Dexter at the truck stop to check on Harrison, and Kurt drops by to question Dexter. Kurt talks about how he thought they could be friends and that it may have been destiny that brought them together. This felt very much like 2 serial killers who knew each other's truths and were sizing each other up. Before the conversation could really go anywhere, Angela and Logan arrive to arrest Kurt for the murder of Iris due to the DNA results. At the station, Angela questions Kurt on Iris, and Kurt initially claims that he doesn't even know who Iris is. After Angela shows Kurt flyers she put up at the time of Iris's disappearance, he says he does remember her, but still has nothing to do with her murder. Angela then pivots back to Matt and tells Kurt there are no records of him having ever talked on the phone with Matt. Kurt says he doesn't understand how this is relevant, and Angela explains it's because he called off the search for Matt just before they got to the caves. This led the police to suspect Kurt, and Angela tells him the DNA found at Iris's crime scene is a match to Kurt's. Dexter needs to speak to Kurt in his jail cell, so he releases Sheep to draw Teddy away from the station. Once inside, Dexter tells Kurt that he knows what he is and he's not going to get away with it. Dexter says something always gets left behind, and Kurt says the same thing to Dexter and adds, not even fire will get rid of that. Kurt tells Dexter that he knows that ash was falling from the sky the night Dexter picked him up, and adds that titanium doesn't melt. It's clear at this point that Kurt knows Dexter killed Matt and sent the envelope through Harrison as a sign that he could take revenge at any moment. We later see that Kurt wants to make a statement and tells a story that his drunk father would take him on the road when he was a young boy. His father would sleep with and beat prostitutes in the back of the truck with Kurt nearby. The flashback shows Kurt playing Runaway to drown out the noise, and this is the same song he plays in his killing ritual today. Kurt says when he was older, he saw Iris get in the truck with his dad, but the flashback shows her getting in Kurt's truck. In the flashback, Iris bites him and flees the truck. While running away, we see Kurt kill her in the same way he kills all the girls up to this point in the show. After Kurt's statement that his father must have been the killer, Angela is forced to let Kurt free because the DNA evidence was only 67% positive, meaning that it could have been his father's DNA. Dexter gets into Kurt's office to look for more surgical screws and finds a check for Elric Kang for $5,000, leading Dexter to wonder who that is and how they may be connected to Kurt. Our last glimpse of Kurt in this episode is a disturbing shot of him staring down Molly from his truck. It seems that he's blaming her for ruining what he had going on in Iron Lake. Finally, I'll briefly cover the dynamic between Angela and Molly, which started off rough in this episode because of Molly going behind Angela's back to talk to Kurt. However, after Kurt is released, Molly and Angela talk, and Molly tells Angela that Dexter's reasoning for being at the cabin didn't make sense. After Angela tells Molly that Dexter followed her because of what he overheard during their lunch, Molly says that's impossible unless Dexter recorded them while his phone charged at the bar. Molly says that if Dexter wasn't Angela's boyfriend, she would totally do a deep dive on him. I have a feeling that's going to happen anyway. Adding on the fact that Dexter was eating pie with Kurt earlier in the episode only deepens Angela's curiosity about him. And the episode ends in an intense way with Dexter heading back to his car after talking to Harrison about Rita's death. Dexter is attacked by the same trucker from earlier in the episode, and we cut to black. Alright, so let's talk where things are probably going. As I said earlier in the episode, I'm pretty confident this trucker that's working for Kurt is Elric Kang. And I'm assuming you've all seen the teaser for the next episode, and it looks like we're gonna have quite the battle between Dexter and this guy as Dexter is attempting to get away from him. Moving on, Harrison, he has essentially confessed that he has his own dark passenger, and Dexter seems ready to share his as well. So what does this mean for the remainder of the season? I believe Harrison is going to realize that Kurt is actually a bad person, and that he's out to get Dexter. Harrison will continue to be buddies with Kurt in order to remain close, and will ultimately kill Kurt. I believe Dexter will then take the fall for the kill, revealing that he is the Bay Harbor Butcher, all in an effort to save Harrison and allow him to be free. I believe new blood doesn't just mean new kills. I believe it is a bit of the passing of the torch from Dexter onto Harrison, and the season's going to end either with Dexter dead or behind bars, and we may get future seasons with Harrison as our main character. So how do we get there? I believe it's all going to come down to the dynamic duo, Angela and Molly. Up to this point, Molly has seemed a little ditzy and really not that great at what she does. That changes this episode as she appears much more confident and able to uncover the truth about Dexter. I believe she and Angela will learn that he really is the Bay Harbor Butcher, and there will be a parallel story unfolding in the end with both Kurt and Angela after Dexter. And as I said, Angela will ultimately be the one to bring him down. Finally, and possibly most importantly, I believe Garfield the dog is going to drive a wedge between Brian and Fred Jr., and this will result in the detrimental collapse of their marriage. Nope. Nobody else? No? All right, be sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comments. That'll do it for me. I'll see you all after episode 8.